Hello, everyone, and welcome back. Today, we're going to take a look at lesson 26. In lesson 26, you are going to create a jumper game, a platform jumper game. Now, before you began lesson 26, you were put in charge of filling out your project guide. Let me move my in house screen here. So your project guide is in your Google Classroom and it looks like this. The first thing you have to do is describe your game. The next thing I want from you is a drawing of your game. You can do this a couple ways. You can do an insert draw inside your Google Doc, or you can go to draw.io, or you can include some images from the internet to depict how your game should look. Under sprites and variables, I'm going to be looking to see what sprites you plan to use in your game. I want to see the label names that you're going to use on the left. I want to see their starting position, where you plan to have them start on the canvas when you begin your game. And I want you to think about what types of interactions are going to happen. Let me give you an example of what I'm expecting. Okay, so in this example, you can see that they have described the game. It says you are an alien trying to catch stars. You can jump, move left and right, and land on the platforms, but you fall if you aren't jumping on a platform. The stars fall and the platforms go down more slowly. You get points for catching the stars. And here you can see is a very basic drawing. It's nothing fancy. It just indicates what's going to be happening in the game. Down here under sprites and variables, you can see their example. They've listed the sprites. They are labeling the player as player. It starts at an X200 and a Y0. It does not rotate or have any velocity when it first starts. And then you can see what kinds of interactions they have planned for the player. Same thing with the star and the second star, platform 1 and platform 2. Now, you are welcome to borrow some of this information if you would like to use that for your game. But remember, I want you to make this your own. So do not feel like you have to create an alien and stars game. Your criteria is that it is a platform jumper game, but whatever platform you choose, whatever target you're after, and whatever player sprite you want. Down here under variables, so let's talk real quick about what variables you need. At minimum, your game should have a score. Score keeps track of every time the player touches the target. In this case, our player is an alien, and the target is the star. And then it indicates that the score is going to go up by 1. In previous games you've created, you've had a player with a score. You've also had a player with a health. So if you want to use other variables like score and health, you are welcome to do that. Functions. So what functions are we going to have? This is new. Okay, you got used to functions in lesson 25, but the functions were already created for you. In this lesson, lesson 26, you will have to create your own functions. So in this example, they have 2 different background functions. Looks like I had to guess. I would say that their background is going to change at some point in the game. They have a show score function, a loop platform function, a loop stars function, and a control player function. And that is it for the planning guide. So make sure your planning guide is done before you begin programming for your game. Okay? So with that being said, let's take a look at Bubble 1 of Lesson 26. In the first example they give us, it is the Alien Star platform game. Okay, and I'm sure you're going to be better at this than I am. But as you can see in this game, he kind of floats around. He has a displacement type interaction with the platform. See, I can't go through the platform, but I can stand on the platform. As I collect stars, I get scores. Notice there's little dots that are flying around in the background that gives the illusion that I'm flying through space. We've seen those before, and they are just dots. Did you see what happened? Once I reached a score of 25, the background color changed. Interesting. Now let's see what happens if I leave the screen to the right. Oh, I just leave. Nothing happens. Come back. I think I've lost my sprite. Okay. I can leave the screen to the right, I leave the screen to the left, and I can fall down. So that is an example. I'm going to hit finish and we're going to move on. Bubble number 2 is nothing more than reminding you need your planning guide done. The planning guide does count as a grade this time. You must have a planning guide completed. And in this planning guide, we are talking about the problem solving process. So we start with defining the problem. Some of you who've done Genius Hour projects, you know what the design process looks like already. The problem that you have right here with define is you have to create a platform jumper game. Under prepare is where you're filling out that project guide. You're thinking about what it is you're going to make and what your sprites are going to look like. Under try, that's where you start coding your project and working out your bugs. And then under reflect will come later on once you are finished and once we share our games with the class. Okay, so just remember that project guide is there, and yes, you have to do it. Okay, as always, we have an infinity symbol here. This reminds us that everything we do, every bubble up here, is all connected. So what we do to one, it will show up on the next. All right. Check out my version history. Okay, I'm in the original version. Let's read the directions. Directions say the first thing that you will create for your game is the background. The sample game had 2 different backgrounds that were chosen according to the user's score. The first background has already been created for you. Look at the background 1 function in the code below to see how it works. Remember, we can click show me where, and it'll take us down to where we need to look. So the first thing I'm going to do is take a look at this background they've given me. They've given me a dark blue background, a pale yellow, looks like I've got some dots, and a dark blue background. Okay, so this must be sky. Is it sky? Yes, it is. Okay, so I've got a nighttime sky as my first background. I can choose to keep that background. I can choose to change that background. Whatever you decide is up to you. Make sure it reflects your decision in your planning guide. Now, the rest of the directions say, in order for the background function to do something, you have to call it inside the draw loop. Show me where. Okay. There is also an empty function named background2. You will need to fill that function with new code to make a different background. Then test the code by calling the function inside the draw loop. So there's a lot of information here to unpack with this one. Let me take a look at do this. First, read the code for background 1. Well, we've done that already. Second, fill the background 2 function with new code for a second background. Okay. And then third, test your background 2 function by calling it inside the draw loop. Here's our hint. It's much easier to copy, paste, and make small changes to your code in text mode. Okay, so text mode, if you forgot, is right here. I click that button, I go to text mode, I click it again, I'm back in blocks mode. So first thing I need to do is I probably should call my, oh, no, they did that for me right there. This line 7 right here is calling background 1 function. So that's done. I am now going to make background 2 function. But you know how I'm going to do that? I'm going to borrow from some code that's already there. So if you remember, I'm going to click here. I'm going to drag. If you're using a mouse, it's a left click and drag. If you're using the mouse pad on the laptop, it's click with pointer finger, drag with middle finger, and I want all of that highlighted. I am now going to click Command C for copy. I am now going to get my cursor down here where I need it to be. So you see I clicked here. Now I'm going to push the down arrow. Okay, so you see that little blinky right there where this little hand is? You see the blinky? Whoops, put it back. Right there. That is my cursor. So now that my cursor's in the right spot, I'm going to go Command V. Command V. That's V for victory. V just kind of looks like a pair of scissors. Okay, so I now have my background 2 function. What I'm going to do is I'm going to make some small changes to this. So I'm going to change my color to purple. And I'm going to change my fill color, I don't know, pink. And this fill color needs to also reflect purple. What's happening here, down here in these two, I believe that this is the part that's kind of hiding that one circle, which gives me the moon shape. See up here? So I have one yellow circle and then I have another dark blue circle paired up against it to make it look like a half moon. Okay, that's what's going on with this code. Now the last thing I need to do for this, you see I have an error message here. Background 2 is defined, but it's not been called yet in your program. That means I have the code ready, but it's not being used anywhere yet. So to test it out, I'm just testing it for right now. I'm not going to do anything with it yet. I'm going to come up here to line 7. Instead of background 1, I'm going to put background 2. Now let's see. Okay, so I now have a second background that will function. All right, I'm going to leave that background for now because what I'm going to do eventually is tie that background change to some type of a score or health change. Okay, so in bubble 3, your job is to set up both of your backgrounds. Okay, whether you decide to use the background one that they've already given you or make your own, it's up to you. Again, with background 2, you're welcome to set up your own or use the ones that they have given you. At this point, if you still need to work on background, please hit pause and hit continue when you are ready to move on to bubble 4. All right, at this point, I'm going to hit finish. Moving on to bubble 4. Bubble 4, we're talking about score variable. Now that you've created your backgrounds, you'll need to choose when each background is drawn. For that, you'll need a score variable to hold information about your player's score. You should always give your variables a starting value at the beginning of the program. That way they are available for any code that comes after. So here we are under do this. Create a score variable at the beginning of your game. Show me where. Okay. And set the score equal to 0. All right. So by clicking show me the block, they've shown me it's this block right here, declare variable. I'm going to bring it over. You see line 1, how it says variables? I'm going to put the score right there. So it's called var score, SCORE. And the starting value for score is going to be 0. Okay, there's nothing in there yet. Starting score is 0. Okay, create a score and set it to 0. That is all you do for bubble 4. If you still need time, hit pause. Otherwise, let's move on to bubble 5. All right, here we are in bubble 5. It says choosing your background. Now that you have your score variable, you can use it to choose the right background for your game. You can see an example of changing your background according to your score in lesson 24, level 9. If you'd like to take a moment to look at that, pause now and go look at lesson 24, level 9. All right, let's take a look at do this. Inside the draw loop, use an if statement and your background functions to draw your background according to your score level. Okay, test your score by changing the score to 100, then running the code to see whether the new background changes. Here's a challenge. Ooh, I love a challenge. If you have a third background, you can click the plus sign at the bottom of the if statement, and another space will appear for your third background function, as well as a place to check the score again. Okay, so if you feel fancy pants, you are welcome to add in a third background option. Okay, so I'm going to start with, I need, inside the draw loop, use an if statement and your two background functions. Okay, so I was just checking which function I'm putting this in. So here's my draw function. How do I know that? It says draw, line 6. I'm going to get an if statement. Here it is, dragging it over, placing it at line 10. If what? If score becomes greater than 100 or greater than 99, so I'm going to grab the greater than, place it in my if statement. Now I'm going to type score greater than, you know what, for right now I'm just going to put 9 because I want to test this out. So if score greater than 9, again, you choose whatever number you want. If score greater than 9, what do I want to happen? Well, I want the new background to show. So I'm going to go to the green functions drawer. I'm going to get a call a function block. That's the short block that says my function. I'm going to bring it over and put it inside the if statement. Now what's the label for this? The label is background 2. BACKGROUND and the number 2. Okay, background 2. Now you'll notice if I hit run, I have my blue background. I haven't created anything else. In order to get this to see if it shows up, I'm going to jump up here to line 2. My var score gets 0 and change that to 10. Just want to test this out, okay? So I hit reset and run, and there it is. So now I know if the score becomes greater than 9, the second background is going to show up. Okay, so I'll put that back the way it was. At this point, if you need to hit pause, please do so before we move on to bubble 6. All right, in bubble 6, we're going to make the scoreboard. You'll also need a scoreboard so the player can keep track of the score. There's already a show score function written, but it only shows the text score, not the actual score. Show me where. Okay. You can see an example of a working scoreboard in Lesson 24, Level 9. If you would like to see that, please pause the video and go take a look at Lesson 24, Level 9. Otherwise, let's look under Do This. Read the code in the show score function. Call the function inside the draw loop right after you draw your backgrounds. And use the text block to display the score at the top of the screen. Okay, so I'm going to do 2 things here. First thing I've got to do is finish the show score function. Okay, and where do I do that? I clicked Show Me Where, and it's put me down around line 38. Okay, it says Function Show Score. So find your function that says Show Score. All right, so we have a white fill, text size 20. We have a text block that is going to show the word score. Remember, those quotation marks mean it is a string. It is a string, so the actual letters SCORE semicolon, or that's colon, sorry, will show up on the screen. In order to get my value to show that is stored in my variable that I labeled score, I'm going to get another text str block. I'm going to drag it over below line 41. And I have to get rid of the quotation marks. When I'm talking about labels for variables, I don't need those little quotation marks. So what I did is I hit backspace. Now I've got to move my cursor using my arrow keys to right there. Do you see it? You see it? It's in front of that first quotation mark. Now I can hit backspace and it'll let me delete the rest of them. Type SCORE. That's the label we use for the variable score. I'm going to hit this arrow here to give me some width and height. So they did X, Y, height. Okay, so I'm going to match the Y because I want it to be at the same depth on my screen. But I can't match the X, otherwise they'll be on top of each other. So if the word is going to show up at 10x, and I'm thinking out loud here, and I want my score to come after my actual digit, my number, I'm going to start with 100x. Could be wrong, but we're going to try it. Now, what am I going to put here? I don't know what I'm going to put here. 80-20. Well, we'll try it. 80y? I don't know. Let's do 20-20. I don't know what I want here yet. This is one of those moments where I'm going to have to test it to see if I like it. Okay? So now, I still have a yellow triangle. It says that we've created show score, but it has not been called yet. That's the second part of bubble 6. I have to get that score to show up on my screen. The way I do that, I go back up to my draw loop, up. There's my draw loop right there. Should be around line 6. I'm going to go to the functions drawer, the green functions drawer. I'm going to grab a my function, and bring it over, put it below the background. And what was the label of that function? I think it was show score. Must have been. Show score. Okay. Now when I hit run, I should see my score show up at the top of my screen. So let's see. Oops, I'm still in. Let me reset and run this again. Aha. Okay, so now I have a score. Score, and the zero's way out there. I think the zero might be a little too far out. So I'm going to scroll down again to my show score. 100 was too much, so I think I'll do 80. Would feel better. What do you guys think? I think I'm going to leave it for now. Okay. So now let's double check. Have we done everything we're supposed to do? We read the code in the show score function. Yes, we did. We called the function inside the draw loop right after the draw the backgrounds. Yes, we did that. Right there it is. It says use the text block to display the score at the top of the screen. Did we do that? Yes, we did. Right there. That's the text block that they're referencing. So bubble 6 is done. If you need more time, go ahead and pause. Remember, we added this text block in the show score function. Pause if you need that part. And we added the show score call a function right here in the draw loop. So pause if you need that part as well. All right, congratulations. We've made it to bubble 7. So far, we've only created 2 backgrounds and 1 score. We haven't even touched the sprites yet. Okay? If you've made it this far and you're listening to my video, I want you to send me an email of a llama. You send me an email of a llama, I will give you 10 bonus points on this assignment. Now, don't tell your friends. I want everyone to watch the video. Okay? So 10 points if you email me a picture of a llama. Llama, Llama, llama. All right, so let's create a platform. So we are going to, it says now that you have your background and your variables, it's time to create your sprites. Usually it would be easiest to start with the sprites that are part of the environment, such as your platforms. The sample game has 2 platform sprites, but you'll make just one, then we'll test it before we copy and paste to make the second one. Okay? So do this. Look at your worksheet and choose a platform sprite to create. So again, it's referencing your planning guide. Remember this, baby? What platform sprite did you pick out? What did you say you were going to use? Okay? What's your plan? Reference your plan, folks. In the Create Sprites area at the top of the code, create your new sprite with the Create Sprite block, giving it the correct position and label. And it says, show me the block. Show me the block. Okay, this block creates a new sprite. That block right there. And this block goes with it. Then it says, use the animation and velocity Y blocks to give your sprite the correct image and downward velocity. Test the sprite to make sure that it's moving in the correct way. You might need to adjust its velocity. Here's a hint. The sprite will go off the screen and not come back. You'll make it loop back around in the next level. So bubble 8, we're probably going to make them loop. But right now, we just got to get it on the screen. That's the hard part. So first, I'm going to go to the Animations tab. I'm going to pick out a platform. For this tutorial, I'm just going to use the one they gave me. Okay? You are welcome to choose a different one. So I have the platform in place. I'm now going to code the platform. So I start with a var sprite right here in the sprites drawer. I drag it over below the comment tag at line 4. I'm going to name it platform 1. Platform 1. That is PLATFORM and the number 1. I'm now going to grab a set animation block. Bring that over. What's the label? Platform 1. And what picture am I going to select? I'm going to select the platform picture. Now it's starting at 200x, 200y. What did you say on your planning guide? Go ahead and reference that. I think I'm going to move mine. I'm going to move mine to, well, what did our exemplar say? Our exemplar said 100x 50y with a velocity of 0.5. So that's what I'm going to do. 100x 50y. And now I'm going to add a velocity y. Same sprites drawer. Grab a velocity y. Bring it over to line 7. Working on platform 1. That's the label. And my planning guide said 0.5, so that's what I'm going to use, 0.5. Now to test the platform. There it is. It's falling nice and slowly. It's going to be great. Okay. All right. So let me double check to see if I've done everything. I've looked at my worksheet. Yes, I did. I've taken a look at the new sprite in the animation tab. I decided to use the default one. We've labeled it correctly. We've done a var platform and a set animation for platform 1. We've set up the velocity y for the platform. So we've done everything we've needed to do for bubble 7. Okay, we've done everything we've needed to do for bubble 7. If you need to pause to get these 3 lines of code in place, do so. Otherwise, we are ready to move on to bubble 8. Alrighty, here we are in bubble 8. Loop the platform. Right now, your platform sprite goes down, but it doesn't come back. You can look at lesson 20, level 6, to see an example of a sprite looping around the screen. So if you need to do that, pause this video, go take a look at lesson 20, level 6. Now for bubble 8, under do this, it says, use the function block to create a loop platforms function at the bottom of your code. Before I read anything else, I'm going to do that. Okay? So I'm going to scroll down. We got background 2, show score. Right here at the very bottom, I'm going to grab a define a function from the function drawer. Put it at the bottom. They want me to call it loop platform. So that's what I'm going to do. LOOP, capital PLATFORMS, loop platforms function. So I have made the function. It's empty, but it's there. Next, under do this. Use the if block inside the function to check whether the platform has gone off the bottom of the screen, and if it has, move it back to the top of the screen. Okay, so I'm going to start in the control drawer. I'm going to grab an if statement, bring it over to line 49. or thereabouts, whatever number you're on. I have to check whether the platform has gone off the bottom of the screen. So I know there's a math block involved. So in my knowledge of the grid, platform's moving down. Which one's changing, X or Y? It is Y. So I know Y is getting bigger. So I'm going to use a greater than math block. Greater than. Right there it is. And I can hover over it and it'll tell me. So if blank greater than blank, if what is greater than blank? Well, I know I'm dealing with sprite.y because the y value is what's changing. So I'm going to grab a sprite.y, bring it over. This is called platform 1. That's what I'm checking. So if platform 1y is greater than 405, I always like to pick a number slightly bigger than 400 to make sure that it is all the way off the screen. So if platform Y is greater than 405, I'm going to reset platform Y, platform 1Y, to 0. Okay, so let's think about this. Loop platforms function. If platform 1.y greater than 405, reset platform 1y to 0. Okay. Now, if you need to pause, go ahead and pause. Otherwise, I'm going to move to the next bubble under do this. It says, call the function inside the draw loop in the update sprites area. Okay. So I'm going to scroll up here. Oh, before I do that, if you're lazy and don't feel like typing these words, I'll copy them before I go. Copy loop platforms. Scrolling up to my important function, the function draw. There it is. It says to call the function under update sprites. Okay, so right here it says update the sprites. So I'm going to go to the functions drawer. I'm going to grab this short call a function. I'm going to bring it over to underneath update the sprites. I'm going to type or paste the label loop platforms in there. And then the last part of my do this says run the code and test. Okay, so I'm going to hit run now. And what should happen is my background should go to the bottom and then come right back to the top and start all over again. Okay. Just waiting to test it. And it comes back. So I'm done. At this point, if you need to see the code again, please rewind, pause as needed. One more time. We called loop platforms up here in the draw loop. We made loop platforms function down here at the end. Okay, pause if you need, hit finish if you don't. All right, we are in bubble 9. Make your second platform. Making a second platform will be easier than making the first because you can copy and paste a lot of the code, then make a few small changes. This is a lot easier in text mode, so be sure to try it out if you haven't already. You'll need to copy 2 parts of your code. The part at the beginning where you made the platform, and the part in the loop platforms function where you loop the platform back to the top of the screen. Do this. Copy the code you used to create the first platform sprite That's the create sprite, set animation, and velocity, and paste it directly beneath the original code. So let's do that first. Move this up a little bit so you can see. They are talking about this code right here. Var platform 1, and platform 1 velocity. Okay? So when they say text mode, this is what they mean. They mean you can go here and copy this code right here. Okay? That works. I highlighted it, Command C, copy. Don't have to be in text mode though to do that. I can totally do it from here as well. Look out here in the white, drag, Command C for copy, and then make sure my little black cursor is below, and Command B to paste. Either way you decide to copy paste is fine. Remember, Command Z, Z like zebra, will undo. All right, now that I've copied, I need to change this from platform 1 to 2, platform 1 to 2, platform 1 to 2. Okay, go ahead and pause if copy paste isn't your thing and you need to drag these blocks in one by one. Now the next part, bubble 2, change the names. We've already done that. Third bubble, change the starting position. Ooh, I have not done that. So I need to do this. Change the starting position of your new platform. So just like before, let's check our planning guide. Where did I say the platform was going to be? It says 300, 250. Let me make sure I'm holding true to my planning guide. 300, 250. How did I get those numbers? I picked those numbers at the beginning. That's how. And then the velocity is still the same. Okay? So I just did that bubble. Next, I'm going to do this fourth dot here. Inside your loop platforms function, copy the if statement, paste it directly underneath the original inside the function. Okay, so let me scroll down to my loop platforms function. There it is at the very bottom. Copy and pasting again. I'm going to click out here, drag. Make sure I've only got the if statement and the contents highlighted. I don't want to do that. See how it highlights the whole thing? I don't want two functions. I just want two if statements. So highlighting that, I go Command C for copy. Move your arrow around. Make sure you get your cursor in the right spot. It should be right there, at the very bottom below the if statement, but still inside the green function. Now I'm going to hit Control V. I now have two if statements, and this one needs to be platform 2. This one needs to be platform 2. Okay. Pause if you need to get the rest of your platform 2 inside the loop platforms function. All right, so the last two bubbles under do now says change the name of the sprite in the new lines of code. I've done that already. They're platform 2 and 2. Run and test your code. Now this says challenge. You can make your platforms appear at random X positions when they loop back to the top of the screen. Oh my. Okay, so I'm going to do that for one of them. How do I make a random X position? Well, right here it says if platform Y greater than 205, not only will platform Y get 0, but right here I can grab a sprite.x, say platform 2, and I can say random number. And I'm going to do 200 to 350. Okay, random number 200 to 350 because I kind of want it to stay on that one side. So now let's see what's going to happen. Hit the run button. Pull this up so you can still see the code while we're waiting to see our code run. Executing of the code. It came back. That's good. Let's see if the other one comes back. Just making sure. And it comes back too. Okay. So both platforms loop correctly, both platforms come back, and we've spiced it up a little bit and thrown in a random X position for that platform too. If you want to do the same thing for platform 1, you know how to do it. Pause if you need to. Otherwise, we are ready to move on to bubble 10. All right, in bubble 10, we are looking at create an item. Next, you need to add the items that fall from the top of the screen. These move just like the platforms, but faster. In order to make the game more interesting, the items start at a random location above the screen. For example, the item's X position is a random number between 50 and 350, and the Y position is a random number between negative 30 and negative 60. Do this. Use the Create Sprite block to make an item sprite in the Create Sprite section. Use the random number block inside the Create Sprite block to start the item in a different X and Y position. Set the animation and velocity to give the sprite the correct image and make it fall from the top of the screen. Then test. Okay, we got this. We can do this. So checking my animation tab. I'm not doing the alien yet. I'm going to do the star. Okay, there's my star. You pick whatever it is that you plan to pick. Okay, I'm just going with what's here. So under Create Sprites, I'm going to go down here. Okay, I'm at line 11. I'm going to grab a var sprite, bring it over. I'm going to label it target 1. I'm going to grab another set animation, bring it over. Remember, these things come in pairs, right? I'll label that target 1, and I'm going to select the star. Now, it said for me to give it a random X and Y position. So I'm going to go map block, random number, throw this in the X position. Up here, they suggested a random X of 50 to 350. Of course, you can adjust as you see fit. It's your game. Then they suggest a random Y position. So I grab another random number block, bring it over to the end of my bar target line of code, and they're suggesting negative 30 to negative 60. I'm going to go negative 30 to negative 60. You adjust, of course, as you see fit. And then we have to set a velocity Y. Velocity Y. This baby has to move. So let me go over here to the sprites drawer. I'm going to grab a velocity Y. I'm going to bring it over just below line 12. Same label, target 1. And we're going to give it a velocity of, let's do 1.5. You choose whatever you want. I'm going to go with 1.5. All right, let's test it out. There's my star right there. Star of the show. Yay! Okay, so it went all the way down and it disappeared. If I hit reset and run, That star should show up in a different position. Reset run. Yep. So you can see the star is going to show up in random locations. Okay. Now, I think that's it for bubble 10. I feel my spidey senses are tingling. I feel like we're going to be doing some more copy pasting here. So if you need to, go ahead and hit that pause button. In this level, we worked on these 3 blocks right here, getting our target onto the screen, getting it randomized, and giving it a velocity y that we are happy with. All right, hit finish. Finish, finish. We are on bubble 11. Loop your item. Now that your item is falling, you can add code to loop it back to the screen. This is familiar to what you did for the platform, but the item sprite will loop back at a random X and Y location when it goes to the top of the screen. Okay? We're going to create a loop items function that uses an if block to check whether the item is off the bottom of the screen. So let me start there. We've got to create a loop items function. A loop items function. So I'm going to scroll all the way down to the bottom, because where do functions go? They go to the bottom. I'm going to grab a define a function, bringing it over, putting it underneath the function that's already there, which is loop platforms. I'm going to give it a label. It's going to be called loop items. LOOP. You can type like me, because I can't type. There we go. Loop items, capital ITEMS, loop items. Okay. Next, we need an if statement. If statement. Going to the control drawer, grabbing an if statement, bringing it in. What are we checking for, ladies and gentlemen? We're checking to see if the star has fallen off of the bottom of the screen. If it did, we got to bring it back with some rando numbers. Okay? So just like before, if greater than, if greater than, if sprite y. How did I know it's y? Because it's going up and down. That's how I know it's y. If target 1y greater than 405, just like before, just like deja vu, all over again. If sprite 1y greater than 405, we're going to bring x and y, and they're going to get random numbers. Okay, so target 1, y, is going to get random math block. And if we remember from before, that random math block will be negative 30 to negative 60. Okay, target, I'm going to spell tart, I don't know why. Target x is also going to get a random math block, and it will be 5 to 350. I think that's what it said. Pretty sure. If you're not sure, go check. Okay, so it'd be a good spot to pause if you need to pause. Otherwise, let's take a look. We got a function, item loops. If target 1y greater than 405, target 1y is going to reset to negative 30, negative 60, something in there. And target 1x is also going to reset to a random number 5 to 350. What's the next thing I need to do under do now? It says call the function in the draw loop. Call the function. So I haven't done that yet. This function is labeled loop items. I'm going to copy that label because I'm super lazy and don't like to type. I'm going to go all the way back up to the magic function. The magic function is the function draw. I have to call it up here. I have to call it. Can you call it on the telephone? All right, here's the function in the function drawer, the little shorty. bringing it over, putting it right under loop platforms, pasting that label in. It is loop items. That's the last part of the puzzle. If you need that piece, pause. Otherwise, I'm going to hit run. Let's see what we get. We get a star that falls. One star that falls. And does that star come back? Yes, it does. Okay, this part's done. If you need to pause, do so. Don't forget to call your function in the draw loop. One more time, if you need the pause screen, there it is. We did this part today. Loop items, bubble 11. Moving on to bubble 12. See, we're almost done. And GPie's only been working on this for, I don't know, 45 minutes. We're going to make your second item. Next, you'll copy and paste the code for your second item to create a second item. Remember that this is a lot easier in text mode. Boy, they really want you guys to use text mode, don't they? So be sure to try it out if you haven't already. You'll need to copy two parts of your code, the part at the beginning where you made the item, and the part in the item loop function, where you loop the item back to the top of the screen. So let's take a look. Let's do that. So right here is my var target, line 11, 12, and 13. I'm going to copy those three pieces of code. Remember, click out here, drag, wait till they turn that bluish purple color, Command C for copy, push my down arrow, see that little blinky cursor thing? Yours should be there too. I'm going to go Command V for victory, P for paste. I don't know why they don't do P for paste. I guess P also stands for print. I don't know. These are the things that keep me up at night. Okay, so this is target 2. Target 2. Go ahead and pause real quick till you get this part copy pasted before we move on to the next part. The next part's going to be amazing. ASMR. This is programming ASMR. ASMR. Tapping. ASMR. All right, now let's scroll down to the bottom. We've got half the copy done. Let's do the other half of the copy paste. Scrolling all the way down to the loop items. We've got this beautifully well-coded if statement here. I'm going to click out here, drag, highlighting just the if statement. Command C, push my down arrow, get my cursor in the right spot, make sure my cursor is in the green function, but not in the blue if statement. Okay, you don't want an if inside an if. So it should look just like this, except we got to fix our labels. Right now we got a bunch of duplicates. Fixing my labels, fixing my labels. Okay. If you need to hit pause again, right now would be the perfect time to pause. Working on this piece right here. While you're pausing, I'm going to hit run. See if I get 2 stars. Yes, I do. Yay, 2 stars. Sprinkles. Let's see if they come back to the screen. I'm just talking to myself while you guys are working on your code. And there it goes. Yay. Okay, so I've got 2 stars that come back at random locations. And they're looping correctly. So I'm done with bubble 12. You still need time, hit pause. Otherwise, I'm moving on. Finish. Move on. Okay, now we make the sprite, the player. Wow, all the way down to 13. Now we make the player. Now you can create your player sprite just like the item sprites. The player sprite will fall from the top of the screen. Unlike the items, your player sprite will get faster as it falls. So this is kind of like the flyer game you guys made before. It's going to start by falling, and you are going to have to keep it on the screen by pushing up, left, and right. Okay? So it says do this. Use the create sprite block to make a player sprite with the label and starting position hiccup that you put on your worksheet. Okay, so let me start there before I read all the rest of that stuff. Keep it simple. Start small. How do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. Okay, so I start with var sprite. Bring it over. Dropping it below line 16. What's this sprite going to be? It's going to be player. That's my player sprite. Where did I say I wanted my player sprite to be? Let me look at my planning guide that I did before I started. I know you middle school people. Like the back of my hand, I know you. All right, so you started at 200x and 0y. Okay, let's do this. It was 200x and 0y. Now I'm going to grab this animation, bring that over, layer. And if you haven't done so already, make sure you got an animation over there that you're interested in using. I'm going to use the preset animation, which is the alien. The alien. So I've got the alien on the screen. He should be at the top. Yep, there he is. He's waiting in the wing. What does my do this say as well? Okay, so did this part. Yep. Set the animation. Yep, we did that part. Okay, this says create a player fall function that makes the sprite fall from the top of the screen. The code inside the function should use velocity y in a counter pattern, just as when you made the falling rock in lesson 21, bubble 3. Okay, so if you need to take a look at the falling rock, lesson 21, bubble 3, pause now. Otherwise, let's keep going. So I know I need to make a player fall function. A player fall function. I go all the way at the bottom. All functions go to the bottom. I'm going to grab my function. The bracket is called player fall, capital F, because that's camel case, ladies and gentlemen. And we need him to speed up. So we're using velocity Y and a counter pattern. So I'm going to start in the sprites drawer, get a velocity Y. The label is player. It's going to be a solid number. I've got to set up a math equation here. Oh my God. Who put all this math in programming? What were they thinking? So it's going to be velocity Y gets velocity Y plus a number. Let's do 1 until I decide. Okay. Pause if you need time to put this function together at the bottom of your workspace. Now we're going to call the player fall function inside the draw loop. Okay, so you know me, I'm lazy. I'm going to copy this label because I got to use it up here to call this function. I'm going to go up to the magic function, the draw loop. It's the magic function. There's the draw loop. I'm going to go to the functions tab, grab my function, bring it over, paste my label in. It's called player fall. And pause right here if you need more time. Or you can just listen to me babble as I test and watch my poor little dude. He just falls straight out of the sky because I have not set it up to control him yet. The only thing we've done is made him fall out the sky. Okay. Alrighty. And at this point, I will give you another little riddle, another little hint. If you'd like some bonus points, I want you to comment on this video in YouTube, and I want you to leave me a what do I want you to leave me? I want you to leave me a zebra emoji. Okay? Comment on this video in YouTube and leave me a zebra emoji if your YouTube username is something that I don't recognize, because I know y'all. Then you're going to have to leave me your name too. Not your full name, just your first name. That way I can give you some bonus points. I give you 5 bonus points for a zebra emoji as a comment on my YouTube channel. Not on the channel, on this video in the channel. Okay? Which means if I loaded this video into Edpuzzle, you're going to have to make your way over to YouTube to make that comment. Just saying. And don't tell your friends either. If they didn't watch the video, they don't get the bonus points. All right, at this point, you should be ready. Let's hit finish. Bubble 14, we are going to use some user controls. We're going to create a new control player function in the functions area. All right, let me do that first. Scrolling all the way down. Why do I do that? Because functions go on the bottom. All right, in the functions drawer, grab a functions bracket. We are going to call it control player. See, oh, I hate when I do that. Control player, capital P for player. Because that is called what? Camel case. It's called camel case. All right, now what do they want in this function? They want, inside the control player function, use the if key down and sprite X blocks to make sure you can move your player left and right according to the arrow keys. Look at lesson 15 bubble 7 for examples. So if you need an example, lesson 15 bubble 7, folks. So let's start with the left and right. Let me do that one first. I'm going to go to the control drawer. I'm going to grab an if statement, bringing it over. Now I'm going to go to the world drawer. World drawer. I'm going to grab a key down, key down, key down. I'm going to do key down left, key down left. I'm going to grab another if statement because you know me. Might as well do them both together. Scroll this over just a tiny bit. There we go. And let's do a key down right. Key down left and a key down right. Key down left and a key down right. Okay, so I know I've got to use sprite.x blocks. Why wouldn't I use sprite? Why wouldn't I use velocity? Huh, that's interesting. I don't know. If I did sprite.x, let me try this out for a second. Okay, this may be a part. Don't code this. Just watch me first, because we may change this. So player.x, according to their directions right here, then it would be a math block. It's player.x subtraction, because we're going to the left. My left, not your left. Get player.x minus, I don't know, 2. Let me test this. Let me test the left. Whoops. It's going to fall too fast. Left. Left. It's not right. Left. I don't know. I don't know, folks. I don't know if I like that. I'm going to try velocity X on the other one. Because that's what I was thinking they were going to tell us to do. To do velocity X. You know what I mean? Because that's what we've been using. It's falling just too darn fast. All right. All right. I don't know. So here's 2 options. Pick whichever one you like the best. You can either do the old school player.x gets player.x minus 2, or you can do the velocity x. I don't know. I'm going to leave them both. We're going to see what happens. Okay. Pause this real quick if you need to for left and right. Otherwise, I'm moving on to do up. Okay. So the next bubble says inside the player control function, use the if key down and velocity Y blocks to make your player jump when the up arrow is pressed. Okay, so that's the one I want to try. Go if, if. Pull this up a little more so you can continue to see it. World drawer, key down, up, and velocity Y. Okay, player. And if he's going up, is Y increasing or decreasing? Y is decreasing, therefore I'm going to go negative 2, maybe? Might change my mind. I know why those things weren't working. Look what I haven't done yet. I haven't called the functions. Jeez. Even GPy makes mistakes. All right. Pause real quick if you need it. So the next thing we're doing is we're calling this function, baby. Calling this function. All right. Now that I've got this wacky doody function in here, I'm going to copy this label. Scroll up to the magic function, the draw loop. Oh, there it is. I passed it. I now have to call my new control player function. I get the little short green block and I paste my label in there. But at this point, my up, down, left, right arrow, not down. I didn't code it down. He naturally falls. I have up, left, and right. Let me test them to see. And remember, I'm paying attention to that left to see if left behaves the way I want it to. Okay, so up works. I like up, right. Oh man, this is kind of suck at this game. Something's not right. What's here? What did I do wrong? I mean, left kind of works. I don't know that I like it better than right. Yeah, I think I'm going to go change left. Sorry, I don't like left. I'm going to go fix it. I can't help it. I got to go fix it. Scrolling all the way to the bottom. I'm going to get rid of this. If key down left, and I'm just going to put a velocity X in there. I like the way that plays better. That line in the direction. I know like it. And I think I'm going to go to a 3. All these. Okay, reset, run. Let's see if that plays better. Yeah, I definitely like that better. Oh yeah, you guys might like even bigger numbers. I like that so far. Okay, so in bubble 14, what we did is we set up all the controls for our player. We did left, right, and up. This function here. And then we called that function in the magic draw loop. So pause real quick if you need to. Otherwise, bubble 15. All right, bubble 15, player interactions. The last part of making your game is programming the player interactions with the other sprites. First, your player needs to land on the platforms. We're going to create a player lands function and add it to the functions area. Okay, so let me start there. First, I got to create a player lands function. Go all the way to the bottom. Go to the functions drawer. Get a bracket. Bring it over. Look at all this code I've been writing today. We're going to call it player. Whoops. Put your cursor in there, G5. Player lands. Player lands. Okay, so I've done that. Created the function. Second bubble. Inside the function, use the collide block. so that your player can land on both the platforms. Use the collide block. Okay, so I'm going to go sprites. I'm looking for the collide block. There it is. I'm going to need two of them. Why, you ask? Because I've got two platforms. That's why. Okay, so I'm going to say player collide platform 1, player collide platform 2. Pause real quick if you need to. All right, bubble 3, call the function. So I'm going to copy this label, Command C. I'm going to go up to the magic draw loop. The magic draw function. There it is. I'm going to grab one of them shorties from the function drawer, bring it over, paste my label in, player lands. Then it says run and test your code. So I'm going to hit run. I should be able to stay. Oop, if I don't fall off my game. Yes. So I can stand on. Here we go. I'm able to stand on the thing. He's doing the slide like it's ice. Maybe I like that, maybe I don't. I'll show you here in a minute how to fix that if you don't like it. Okay, but otherwise he interacts with these the way he's supposed to. He shouldn't be able to go through them. They should block his path. He should be able to stand on them. Life's good. Is that all I do for 15? Yes, that is all I do for 15. Take one last look down here. Player lands. That's what you're doing. Pause if you need. Otherwise, let's move on to 16 because we're almost done, folks. We're almost done. Yay! Bubble 16, collect items. Last, you'll want your player to collect the items falling from the top of the screen. Create the collect items function and add it to the function area. All right, so let's start there. You know the drill. Another function. Scroll all the way to the bottom. Go to the functions drawer, grab a bracket, drop it in. Scroll up a little bit for you guys. It's going to be called collect items. So let's go COLLECT ITEMS. I capitalize mine, but you don't have to. But capitals matter in label names. So whatever you choose, make sure you keep using it the way you wrote it the first time. And that's my song about labels. Okay, next, use the if and is touching blocks to change the X and Y position of the items when the player touches them. You can look at the loop item function for clues. Okay, if is touching. Okay, I know what I'm doing. Okay, so control, if, bring it over. If, now I need an is touching block in the sprites drawer. Is touching. He's touching me. All right, player. If player is touching target 1. If player is touching target 1, what do I want to happen? Well, I want a few things to happen, but let's start off with resetting target X and target Y. Okay, so I go target 1X gets random number. Target 1X gets random number. Why does it feel like if I created my other function better, I could have used the function right here? Okay, I chose 5 to 350 for target 1X. Now I'm going to go target 1Y. It's also going to get a random number. It should start to feel familiar to you. 60. Okay. Player is touching target 1. Target 1X will reset. Target 1Y will reset. and we need to increase the score. So that block is coming out of the variables drawer. It is the third block down, the assign a variable block. I'm bringing it in, I'm putting it below the target 1, X and Y, random number. All right, the label I'm going to use is score. S-C-O-R-E. And I need a math block. I want the score to go up. I'm giving an addition. In the front of that addition is the word score again, and a +1. Score +1. Do a real quick pause if you need to for this part right here. Sorry about that. Alrighty, so this is saying if you need help with that counter pattern, you can look at lesson 20, puzzle 10. Lesson 20, bubble 10. Now, the last part we need to do is call this function in the magic draw loop. Call the function. So let me copy this label, collect items. And yes, I know I have not done this for target 2 yet, but guess what bubble 17 is probably going to make me do? Probably going to copy paste. So I've copied the label collect items function, going up to the magic draw loop. It's the magic draw loop, Charlie. All right, there's the function draw. Go to the functions, grab a my function, bring it over, paste the label in. Label is collect items. Now, when I run this, I should be able to collect one of those stars and get a score. Okay, so my score did go up by 2. And I'm stuck below. And I'm going to miss that one. Nope, I got it. Okay, I'm just playing the game while I'm waiting on you to call your function. Okay, so my 1 star is working. Got it working. Life's good. He's still skating across these platforms that I don't like, but it's working. Okay, so hit pause if you need to pause. Remember, we did the collect items call function in the function draw. The function we just created was this one right here, collect items. Let's go on to bubble 17. 17. Here we go. 17. Review your game. Look over your project and play your game a few times. Does the player sprite move the way it should? Do all your interactions work? Are the platforms moving correctly? Does the scoreboard work? Well, you know what they didn't tell us to do? Them goofballs. They did not tell us to create platform 2. What in the world were they thinking? Okay, so before I do any of that, I'm going to go back down here to collect items. I'm going to highlight this blue if statement. I'm going to Command C for copy. I'm going to push my down arrow. I'm going to push the up arrow because I want that black line right there in that location, nowhere else. Now I'm going to hit Command and the letter V. V for Valentine. I now have 2 exact copies of code, so now under this, it goes players touching target 2. Target 2. Did you know my best friend in high school's name was Target? True story. That was his nickname. His real name is Scott, but his nickname was Target. Target 2. He was the punter for the football team. So that's where the nickname came from. Anyway, TMI, right? Like, who needs to know that about GPI? Okay, so now let me run this, baby. Can I collect both stars and get points? That's star 1. That's star 2. That's star 1. That's star 2. All right, so my game works. I think I might, if I were you, children, I would play around with these controls a little bit more. See if you can get better controls, feature numbers and whatnot. I probably should have did a different number for up, maybe like 5 or something. Oh, Oh, I reached my. Oh, look what happened. I found a bug. Do you see it? The score's not showing up. I gotta fix that. My background changed. My score did not show up. So let me fix that real quick. Got all that, got all that, got all that, got all that. Let me go up to the function. Right here. I'm going to grab this yellow draw sprites block and I'm going to move it up here. Okay. So that should fix it. So now let me play the game until I get to 10 again. What'd you do today, Gillespie? I played games. I made games and I played games. I spent the entire day talking to myself. What the what? That didn't fix it. What the hey, May? Okay. So, what am I doing wrong? Score. Color thing. Oh, it's bugging me. I got show score there. Maybe, what if I do this? What if I just call show score in there? Show score. Let's try that. Maybe if I just call it twice, we'll fix it. I could be right, I could be wrong. You just never know. You gotta try. Don't give up. How do you eat an elephant? What I probably also should do is make him turn the direction. Ah, you fixed it! Yay, you fixed it! I just added I called the show score inside the if score greater than 9. Okay. All right, I don't know why I'm getting that. That's weird. Okay, so what was I doing here? Does the player move? Yes. Do all my interactions work? Yes. Are the platforms moving? Yes. Does the scoreboard work? It does now. So Bubble 17 is really just about you checking out the game, finishing it up, fixing any bugs, making any adjustments you want to make. Let me sneak over and look at Bubble 18, see what it wants from you, and then I'm going to hit pause because GPod needs a break. Ooh, I love this. Okay, so here's the deal. At this point, I've walked you through, I've baby stepped you through your program. And if you've done everything I've done and you've kept the same sprites, the best you're going to get out of this is a B, a letter B. If you're okay with a B, then that's fine with me too. But if you'd like an A or an A plus or some banking some bonus points, or if you didn't do your planning guide, then let's pick some things to add from the challenge levels, okay? You've got animation change direction. That's the dude looks in the direction he's moving. You've got adding lives. You've got adding a new item, so maybe there's like a bonus that falls and gives you bonus points. You've got sidewalls. This one's pretty cool. Sidewalls where he can't leave left and right. Okay? You've also got add new animations. So give a game a custom theme. So instead of stars and aliens, maybe you make a fish tank or whatever. So I want at minimum, you need to do 2 more. Okay, there's a 2. I didn't realize how bright I was on the screen until now. Sorry. At minimum, I want 2 more. 2 more and you get an A. Yay! If you do more than 2, I'll give you bonus. So if at the end of this video you did not do your planning guide, do all 5 of them and you'll be okay. All right? This is G Pie. I love y'all. Peace out.